So are you guys just standing on the road at this point? Like, kind of just talking to each other?
Yeah. Yes.
That's what it seems to be, yeah.
So as you're standing here talking just amongst yourselves, you just... None of you are particularly paying attention to anything just because you're conversing with yourselves. And all of a sudden, you just see this mushroom walk past you. Zudil, because he's still kind of like hunched over there and not, he's not quite dead or unconscious, but he's still
I'm
there.
not dead yet.
So what I would like to do is go up to him and make sure he's looking at me. And then when I have his attention, I'm gonna shape change back into my normal Laya form and be like, leave Pace alone. And then just like turn to walk away.
And he's gonna just have this like massive like... The woman the whole time?
I'm just gonna...
Wait, did he say that out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna turn back around. I turn back around.
Turn around.
And I'm gonna be like, yes, I'm a woman, and just like bonk him with the pommel of my sword, my rapier.
Okay. He's like... He kind of like rubs it a little bit, and he's like, I didn't know that.
I'm just gonna follow up behind Laya and, you know, obviously holding my side because rifle damage.
Rifle damage.
Just going to stand above him. You really ought to figure out a new line of work. Taking advantage of others as they seek safety really isn't becoming. And just gonna limp off the Laya.
As Orlo being still on the caravan, I want to like tinker with the rifle, and if there's a trigger, just make sure it's not facing everybody, which I don't think it necessarily is. And I just want to pull the trigger and see what happens.
So you kind of like, it's on a swivel, so you kind of like swivel it around a little bit, make sure it's kind of pointing off, and then you just like click.
Okay. Is there anything else like of note on this caravan since they had a giant rifle on it?
So immediately, you don't see anything. What I will say is you guys will probably spend, let's see, you'll spend 2 hours and you can kind of go through everything.
Okay.
And then I will make a list for you guys of everything in there of note, and you can tell me what you want to take and whatnot, just to kind of save us some time here.
Yep.
But I will make sure. Yeah, what's up, Shin?
Question. That rifle.
Yes.
Is it more like it's shooting bolts, or is it like is it actually like bullet ammunition?
It's kind of more of like a musket in style. It's like a cartridge style, but it's because metal is scarce, so it's not really bullets. But it's so it's more of a musket in style.
Okay. Understood.
And clearly, you guys are just gonna leave that here, and not take it at all. So that's fine. I'll make sure that doesn't get added into this stuff. So we'll go ahead. I'll go over that with you guys later this evening or tomorrow. But we'll go ahead and make your way over to Brent's, which would probably take you guys about another 4 hours or so. And it's I'd say it's probably about 10:30, 11 in the morning. So by the time you would get there, it's going to be about, we'll say like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. As you guys are kind of approaching the complex it rents. And from the distance, you can kind of see the the gates and the buildings sitting up on the castle building sitting up on the backhand side of it. So what do you guys want to do while you're here?
Can I tell who's on post?
From this distance, it's going to be pretty hard. You're probably still a couple hundred feet away.
Okay.
There was disappointment, but she didn't want you to know there was disappointment.
Right.
I just want a cute boy.
I want to restock my supply of weaponable plants.
I want to go to fuck to sleep.
I just want to see if I notice any similar plants to the one I threw at Zudil. And like as we're walking along, just like kind of pluck it up and tuck it away.
Yeah, you can definitely find a couple while you're walking along. I would say very easily. You'll be able to pick up at least 6 if you want them.
Okie doke, I do. I know they didn't work with Zudil, but who knows? Maybe the next one.
Another one.
If you don't succeed, try again.
So you guys kind of banter a little bit back and forth as you make the distance up to the gates, and as you approach the gates, there's a female guard standing up on the parapet, and she kind of yells down. He's like, "Who are you?"
Gross.
Yikes.
Is he talking to us?
One of you gonna have to take over communications.
Overham sent us. We're badly wounded. Please let us in.
She kind of pauses for a moment, and she looks across, and you hear her yell, "She says Overham sent them!" And you hear, "How many of them are there?" And she looks down and she counts.
Do I recognize the voice?
Do you visibly get excited?
I'm gonna be like, Luke, it's me!
Here we go again.
Let them in, they're fine.
I'm just gonna look at Orlo and be like, you're welcome.
Well, that's the second time in one day she saved us.
After a minute, the gate opens up, and you guys can go ahead and enter your way into the city. Town, I suppose. Not much of a city. And as you kind of make your way into the middle of the square where you entered, you see that Luke has come down, and he's standing there to meet you guys and see how you're doing.
I'm just kind of limping along and holding wherever all of my wounds are, because I'm definitely or rather was bleeding. I guess it probably would have stopped by now, but I don't look great.
I don't look great. And he immediately, as he sees you guys all kind of like limping, and well, almost all of you guys.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, Elladan's fine.
As he sees you guys all kind of like limping in, he's just like, oh my god. He's like, just stay here. I'll be right back. And you see him like take off down the main road into like the castle, and you see him and like another person in tail with him, very closely behind. And they make their way out, and this isn't somebody that you had met before. But he's a little bit bigger than Luke. But he looks almost half orcish as far as his features are. So he still has some humanoid features, but he's very I don't know, a little bit bigger, a little bit like some of his features are extended. He goes, "This is our medic. He will do his best to take care of you. Just please sit down and you know what? Let's." And he kind of like points over to the inn. Just let's head over here. You guys can sit down. We'll get you a drink. He'll take care of you.
A drink would be lovely, thank you.
Elladan, something tells me this isn't like the blind boar.
It won't be nearly as fun.
Perhaps you both should have bought some more product from Pace.
Oh, you don't need to worry about that. And I just smirk.
And she's just gonna like shake her head, and then I'll just like kind of, I wouldn't say huff, but like sigh, and I'll turn away from them and just walk limp towards the inn.
So as you guys kind of get in, you sit down, and the half-orc kind of looks at you, and he introduces himself. His name's Arnerall. I just posted that in chat for you guys. And he kind of tends to your wounds. So each of you...
It's just, for a second there, I was like, are we cleaning our car with this guy? Or?
No, not Armorall. We're not getting sued here. There's Zamzara. And you guys all can regain 12 hit points. Or sorry, 10 hit points. I can't do math.
Did they fix my arm?
You still have a pretty nice gouge in it, but it's not anything that's going to cause issues. It will heal eventually. He kind of wraps you up and makes sure that it's at least taken care of.
Did Luke follow us?
Oh yeah, he's in there.
Okay.
He's kind of just standing there. He's kind of handing Arner all his tools and things that he needs as he's tending to you guys.
Well, assuming that they have brought me a drink, I will take just a big gulp.
Yes, that is included in the healthcare portfolio of rents. one drink. And he's like, "What the hell happened to you all?"
Helping.
Someone needed a talking to.
Yeah, that's
To be fair, Laya did most of the talking.
They just talked back a little bit more than we expected.
It looks like they talked back quite a bit.
Elladan really wasn't involved in the negotiations, as it were.
I'm gonna raise up like my bruised like thumb or something and be like, "Hey, I got hurt a little bit."
You have a splinter from the bushes that you were shooting Eldritch Blasts from.
Oh boy.
He's like, "Well, I'm just happy you're all okay." And he kind of lingers his look on Laya a little bit.
And I'll just smile at him and like take a sip of my drink, whatever it is they brought me.
It's just the ale that you guys had before while you guys were here. I wish that we could do more. I don't have money, supplies that we can spare to give you, though.
Oh no, you should keep as many of your supplies as you can. We'll be fine.
What are you all doing out this way, though, other than talking to people?
Well, we've made some acquaintances here, back in Drail. Overham took us back there. We met with some people, and then he kind of just cut us loose. Had a pretty solid night last night. Not gonna lie.
I'm just gonna like cut him off and like wave at him to shut up. And I'll be like, and I'm like, we're making our way back to Elriel, and we wanted to stop back in and make sure you all were all right.
Well, that's Very kind of you all. I greatly appreciate it, and I especially am glad that we could help. But we're fine here. Not much usually happens. We just go about our business as we can.
Luke, buddy. Supplies. You were talking about supplies. Do you have anything that might like help us? Like, while we're
Orlo,
what?
we're not going to take their supplies. They need those.
Excuse me. We just had to walk like 4 hours, and my shoulder was bleeding the whole time. If we could avoid that by taking something from them that they're kindly offering, we do appreciate your hospitality. I think we should take it.
I'm just gonna get like very obviously flustered and indignant that he's actually talking back to me.
Let that noble come out a little bit.
Oh yes, very very clearly. And I'll just kind of like huff a little and just throw back some of my ale.
Luke looks at you and he's like, I certainly can. We can spare some bandages and things that like we make those pretty readily. But beyond that, I do apologize. There's not much else that I can give you.
I mean, if you're offering, I will gladly take some extra bandages.
I'll make sure that Honorall gets you what we can spare for the time being.
Don't give any to Laya. She doesn't want any.
And I'll just kind of eye him. And thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
I was not going to say anything.
Well, are you planning on staying here then, or are you just heading off as soon as you're able?
I think, I think we were just stopping by to make sure you guys were good and maybe, take care of our wounds. Unless there was something else somebody else had.
And you see him kind of like lean and look out the window, and he goes, he's like, if you leave shortly, you should be able to make Elriel by sunset, which I would recommend.
Fantastic. If we happen to get to Elriel, right, maybe as the sun is setting, is there something we should look out for just so we could maybe get some shelter or have somewhere in mind that we're looking for when we go that direction?
Once you reach the forest entrance, it's almost impossible to miss Elriel. It's kind of engulfed in rock, the passages at least, that you need to get there, and it's pretty much a straight shot. You should make it pretty quickly from there.
Perfect.
The rangers try to keep the path cleared as much as possible because it's their job.
Perfect.
Well, then I'll have Honorall get to the things. Is there anything else I can grab for you before you head out?
I think we're good.
Well, then I'll have that taken care of. And I will see if we can grab you a few drinks for the road, yes?
I think I'm going to stick to water today.
A few drinks sound lovely. I'm sure this one, and she'll like kind of point at Elladan. We'll drink them if nothing else.
Very well, we'll get some skins together and make sure you guys have something for the road. Give me a few minutes and we'll get everything together for you. So he kind of he helps Honorall, and they walk away and start getting the supplies together. And a few minutes pass. Do you guys want to do anything? You're just going to kind of sit there and nurse your wounds a little bit as you have a few sips of your drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll nurse my grave wounds.
I'm gonna take out.
Drink some of the stuff,
And
Have a good time.
I'm just gonna be like staring daggers at Elladan as I like angrily sip my alcohol.
I'm gonna just keep sipping on my water, and I pull out my little sack of berries that I still have and just start munching on them.
So
I
a few
want no
minutes go
part of
by.
this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What was that?
I said I want no part of this.
I want no part of this. So a few minutes go by. You see him come back, and he's got this little like pouch. It's got some bandages stacked in it, and hanging off the side of it are a few skins of the ale that they have. And he hands it to you, Orlo, and he's like, "If there's anything else we can ever do, you're always welcome here. I'll make sure that the rest of our watch are aware of what the group of you look like in case you need to stop back in and you won't have any more troubles."
This is very much appreciated.
Always. You are a friend of Ovrim, so you are a friend of ours. Well, then I suggest you best be on your way. It's going to take you most of the rest of the day to get there, and I don't want you to be walking in the dark. It's not safe.
And I just kind of put my berries away, put my water away, and use my staff to kind of stand up a little bit, and I make my way to the door.
All right,
And
I follow.
As you guys are all kind of getting up and working your way there, he kind of taps you, Laya, and he just hands you, it's like a folded letter. And he goes, just read that when you have a moment, when you reach Elriel, when you're safe.
And I'll smile at him and like tuck it into my, I don't know, somewhere in my clothes. And thank you so much for all of your help. And I'll like kiss him on the cheek and then hurry out.
And he'll blush and he'll be like, you're welcome.
I'm gonna roll perception. Kidding.
Let me have this.
So while you guys are traveling to Elriel, is there anything in particular that you want to be on the lookout for? Orlo, like, do you want to be looking for like certain plants or anything, or keep an eye out for anything else, like things of that nature?
I guess anything that maybe I would perceive as being medicinal, that I could maybe use, like make like a medicinal like paste out of, or some sort of like healing material.
Okay. Elladan, is there anything in particular that you'd be kind of watching out for while you were traveling?
No, I don't think so. I think it'd just, just be, going with the flow.
Okay. Flow. Anything that you'd be particularly looking out for, or would you just be kind of like making sure like watching, standing guard kind of deal, making sure everybody was?
It's standing guard. I don't think there's anything particular I'd
And
be looking
Laya?
for.
Anything in particular you would be on the lookout for?
No, I'll just be like walking along, like kind of fingering the note that I have in my pocket or wherever.
Check. Then will Orlo and Flo, will you both give me 2 perception checks?
7 and 6.
I got 8 and 22. Net 20.
Awesome. Okay, so then what we're gonna do for this is it's something I kind of do every once in a while. It's like almost like a travel montage. So I'm gonna kind of just explain some of the things that you guys are gonna look at while you're traveling through here. If there's anything that pops into your head while we're going through this that you want to stop and look at or think about, please let me know. Don't feel free to interrupt. But so for those of you I don't. Have you showed the map yet on stream? Okay, so for those of you who don't remember, where we are at is Rents. We're southwest of Drail, and more or less what they're going to do is kind of go straight south. And there's kind of some forest lands and stuff that they can cross through that are definitely pathed out, and there's ways through them to get down to Elriel. But so you're going to kind of be traveling through some of this desert wilderness. It's kind of they call it the burnt trees and um, scorched lands and things like that. But there's definitely creatures that kind of are present in here. And Orlo, you definitely would be familiar with this to the extent like this is what you kind of did before, right? You wandered the forests and you took in a lot of that, and it's very strange for you in this moment because you still can almost feel the same wind and smell the same smells that you would be used to, but it's so much different because this world is so damaged and so um, just scorched from the magic, and it's weird because you keep kind of like flashing through and catching different parts that really remind you of home. In Laya, this is probably something that would also be relatively similar for you. In very different ways, though. With your noble family, you would definitely have access to um, probably some gardens and things of that nature that would be something that you would spend some time in, like wandering through. And it almost reminds you of that same feeling. As you're walking through, you can you just catch strange memories of yourself, just what seems like so long ago, and it's only been a few days at this point that you guys were home. And Elladan and Flo, you have very different memories. Not a lot of wandering and a lot of peace in your times. You spent a lot of time um, traveling and possibly with you at Flo, with war. Um, and this still does trigger memories, but not the same way. But it's almost peaceful because you do see creatures kind of scurrying and wandering, and despite the fact that some of them are strange, especially for you guys, being that they're not uh, what is native for you, some of them are still very normal. Things that are like squirrels or chipmunks, little foraging creatures, lizards, things of that nature. But you guys would be able to travel through. And Shin, with Flo, you're very, very alert, very, cognizant of the environment around you, and you're always checking and making sure that things are safe, and that everybody is, every crack in the leaves and the twigs, you're always checking and being alert of. While Orlo sometimes is the one causing them as he's reaching for a new plant or trying to find something that is just out of reach. So you kind of like step a little bit too far in, and you just happen to, disturb the wildlife, and things just kind of flutter off and go do whatever. Elladan and Laya both kind of off in their own little worlds as they're daydreaming through the walk because they know that they're both safe in the care of the two that are not only the forest dweller but the actual protector. And it's very interesting for you guys because this is the first time that you kind of all feel at peace in very different ways, but at the same time. And as you kind of exit the end of this burnt forest, you find this exactly what Luke had said to you before, this big rock outcropping as it kind of like reaches up over out of the mountain. And there's still kind of like a crack that runs through it, so it lets light through. But you can see that there are roots and trees and things poking out of the underbrush that are actually alive and actually, for the first time since you've been here, something that is living and moving and breathing. So it's almost kind of a little bit of an exhilarating rush as the day starts to kind of come to a close. And as you're kind of wandering through this passage now, you can hear some kind of footsteps above you as like roots and trees kind of crackle and things jump from the trees and the brush, and you can start to hear the sounds of a city ahead of you. Like it starts to kind of be more present as the closer and closer you get, but you can't see anything ahead of you. It looks just like more trees and more forest, and it starts to get denser and um, deeper as you go in, and it's all of a sudden you kind of step out onto this little plateau ahead of you, and the city is just there. It's not massive by any stretch of the imagination, but it is. Here, I'll send this picture to you. This is what I'm using for the baseline of it. But you walk into on the right hand side is where we're coming from. These farms and this just grasslands, and there's big trees, and it is almost alarming how different this environment feels immediately for you.
Is there like any like unexplainable force that we feel like since we've entered this forest?
Like magically, is that what you like?
Yeah,
Is that what
yeah.
it doesn't feel any different other than the fact that the air isn't as rough, or the ground actually has grass on it. Like there's no physical feeling that feels different beyond that.
Hmm.
Is this place familiar to me? Like, is it since it's more natural? Like, there's actually like growth. Is it like?
You would probably feel a lot more comfortable here than you did in the desert for sure. You would definitely feel like you fit in a lot better, especially since this was kind of what you had done before.
And it definitely feels like a permanent settlement, not something like nomadic.
No, this is definitely something that's permanent for sure. But you feel like the nature surrounding you um, is definitely in flux for sure, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey guys, bet they have an elder.
Well, maybe we should talk to this elder.
First, it still remains to see if they do have an elder. Though I am quite interested in what the clothing that they wear.
So
All right.
as you say that, Flo, you see a couple of children that are kind of like running through one of the fields nearby, like this like where these pink trees are off to the right hand side. And as you guys are walking in, it's kind of like an orchard, and there's some children that are kind of like running and playing through it, and a lot of them are just in very plain clothes, like almost just like woven, not silk, but like wool or something of the like, which might be something that you were probably kind of familiar with, just from the travels that you've had and the interactions that you've had. This seems very normal, almost, right?
Mm. I'm gonna go talk to them kids.
Oh.
Go ahead.
So using his rustic hospitality background and basically how I got involved with the with the village in our world, he's just going to, you know, slowly approach children, but you know, at a respectable distance. He's just going to get down on one knee and just call out to them, "Excuse me, young ones."
The kids all kind of like stop for a second and like look over, and like one of them like taps the other one. You hear some like whispering between them, and they all kind of like run over at the same time to you.
We've just traveled quite a distance from a town, a city called Drail, and we were wondering where the leader of your city might reside.
You see all the kids kind of like looking at each other, and they look at you, and they look at each other, like, and then they just point, like almost all in unison. Like one of them points, and they all kind of like all follow along. And you can see, so like where in the middle of this thing, where it looks like there's a kind of a like a big like looks like a temple or something almost.
Mm.
This is actually, for this city specifically, is a big tree. It kind of like sprawls out over, and kind of like some of the branches start to reach out over some of the homes and some of the stuff around the outside of it. And all the kids just point towards this big tree.
I'm just going to stand up and give a small, give them a salute. I thank you all for your time.
And they
Be
all
safe.
kind of like try to, you know, mimic you, and they all like kind of like laugh and giggle, and then just kind of like take off. Orlo, go ahead and make a perception check and see if you are actually looking for some guards.
Hello, you have a pretty productive conversation there with those kids?
Affirmative. I've learned that that tree there is where we should be headed to speak with the leader or possible elder of this city.
Possible. Mark my words. There is an elder in this city.
What if their leader is the tree?
Are,
It's a rather big tree.
are you still high?
No,
Are you sure?
I'm
Did
positive.
you put him in charge of the drinks that we got from Lucas?
Yes.
One, it's Luke. And two, no, he only has his.
Does he have his still? Does he?
I wasn't watching him. I babysat last night.
No, you were too busy watching Luke.
No, that was a couple hours ago, not last night.
You were still watching him in one manner or another.
Are you drunk?
Not at the moment, no.
All right.
I rolled a nat 20 on my perception check.
So as you're
Perceptive.
looking around, like you kind of start looking to see if there are any guards, and you're not immediately seeing anything, like in the sense of what you would normally think of, right? You know, there's no guards that are just like wandering around. Doesn't look like anybody's watching anything. And then you kind of start looking
To the trees.
yes, out kind of a little bit further, or like up above you through some of these trees, and you do every now and then you'll catch some of either the rangers or the druids that are just kind of up in these trees, that are just kind of watching what's going on, and they're just very casually like kind of like slung up in these trees and just relaxing, but very, very perceptive and very much aware of what is going on throughout the city.
I want to climb up and talk to one.
Sure, go ahead.
What do I need to roll?
just give me an athletics check to see how easily you can make it up there.
18.
Okay, so you find where one of the nearby rangers is, and you kind of just shimmy up the tree.
And here we go again.
And he's very aware of you. And like as you're climbing, you can see him watching you climb this tree. And he's just sitting there waiting for you to get up there, and you make your way up, and he just looks at you and he goes, "Can I help you?"
Hey friend, yeah, me and my friends down there, we just popped into town. You guys have an elder, right?
An elder?
Damn it.
Do we hear this?
Probably not. It wouldn't be a very loud
it.
conversation.
Yeah, no, we were just coming down. We wanted to talk to whoever was in charge. In here, we were sent by a friend of ours. We wanted to, see what maybe was down here going on.
Yeah, I mean, you clearly made it in, which means you're not necessarily threatening in nature.
Not threatening?
Well, they wouldn't
Do
have let
you see me?
They wouldn't have let you in if you were threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And he pauses for a moment and kind of looks at your demeanor. And he goes, "Understand this. Just because you're not threatening doesn't mean you're not dangerous."
Well played.
Any other particular reason you chose to climb my tree?
Mostly just the elder thing.
The town is run mostly by the Druid Grove. I suppose if you wish to say that the Elder Druid is the elder, that is something that you could do. But for the most part, it's...
And I just grin at him.
And that's why he stops. He's just like kind of a little uncomfortable with how big this grin keeps getting. He's like, "Are you okay?"
I will be fine.
Okay.
And this elder druid grove, are they in this giant tree over here?
Some of them occasionally, yes. Most of them just travel and tend to the wilderness as much as they are able, but every now and then they will gather here, yes.
Okay. I mean, we might just go. Is it okay if we go up and just check and see if anybody's there?
As long as you stay in the manner in which you arrive, then yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we're not here to cause any trouble or anything. So yeah, then I just climb down, head back to the group.
Okay. And he just kind of like gives you a solid wave and just goes back to just relaxing to where he is in the tree.
I just shout back, "Thanks again."
Be safe.
Orlo, did you figure out where the inn is?
I did not find out where the inn was, unfortunately. However, I did find out that there is an elder druid grove in charge of this town, and some of them very well may be over in that tree that those kids directed us to. Did you guys catch that? Elder.
I feel like you're inserting the word elder here.
I mean, you could feel all you want, but that's just what the man told me in the tree.
Yes,
He didn't tell you to get down.
If you want to go, no. If you want to go up and talk to him, by all means.
Orlo, have you taken more of that powder? What do you mean, man in the tree?
There's rangers and druids guarding all of this around us. They're pretty adept at staying hidden.
All right. Well,
Noted.
let's head into town, I suppose.
Absolutely. I think we should probably head to that tree.
Or the inn where we're supposed to deliver this package.
I mean, we should probably find where that is first. And I mean, if we want to just start opening doors, I'm down with that.
I
I'm
think
sure
not.
it will be labeled. If there will likely be a sign, we can ask someone. We'll find it.
So are you guys just standing on the road at this point? Like, kind of just talking to each other?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
That's what it seems to be, yeah.
So as you're standing here talking just amongst yourselves, you just... None of you are particularly paying attention to anything because you're conversing with yourselves. And all of a sudden, you just see this mushroom walk past you. And it's singing just kind of just to itself as it walks past you.
Okay, I was certain I didn't take any more of that powder. You all saw that, right?
Oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm the person that apparently thinks there might be talking trees.
Wait, no, I saw it too. So clearly,
What was that?
And as you say that, it stops.
I don't think it liked you asking what it was.
And it kind of takes a second, and as you see it, like, it's kind of like shuffles around.
Is it like tall and skinny or short and stout? What's it looking like?
It's very short and stout.
Okay.
And as you... Sorry, hang on. I forgot to grab this picture for you.
it's about to be the most gangster mushroom ever.
So as you guys turn around, there's this little old
Oh no.
dwarven woman that's wearing this big mushroom hat. And there's a few small toads and frogs that are kind of like sitting there and croaking and just like moving back and forth. And she kind of turns around and looks at you guys and she goes, "What I am is not a what?" And she kind of like shuffles over to you.
I just take a few steps back.
Oh,
And-
oh yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry.
I think we were all simply shocked by the view that we had of your ensemble. We
You
did
know,
not mean
like
to
my
offend.
hat. As she kind of like rubs the edges of this like mushroom that she's wearing on her head.
It is a lovely hat.
"Oh,
Very
thank you.
natural.
I grew it myself." And she kind of gets this big smile on her face. "You're new here, yes?"
Very.
Yes, ma'am.
She puts out her hand. She goes, "I'm Zrinka. Very nice to meet you."
And I just jump back because from my perspective, I can't see under the toadstool hat. So I just see this arm shoot out.
Yeah, so just for perspective, she is only 4 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
Zrinka, we were looking for you actually.
Well, most people do.
We and I'll like kind of tap without looking. I'm just gonna tap Orlo behind me, like trying to get the package. We have something for you. Pace sent it with us.
Oh,
Start fumbling around looking for the package.
what a nice man. I haven't seen him in forever. Is he coming back?
He didn't say anything about that, and I like kind of pull out the package and hold it out towards her, that hand area.
And she kind of reaches up and grabs it from you. And she just like slides it. She has a big bag that she wears, and she slides it into the bag. And she goes, "Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Are you going to be needing a place to stay?"
That will be
Yes.
lovely.
"Oh, well then, feel free to follow me. I'm heading back to the inn. Do you... No, never mind." And she just starts wandering.
Do you have a room at the inn, or do you have somewhere else you stay here?
Oh, no, I just work there. I live off in town.
You
She's
just-
just kind of meandering her way through the, like, very slowly, mind. She's 4 feet tall. Her legs are not big.
Does what do you just run the inn? Is there anything else you do here in town? I mean,
Oh, I don't run
we
the
just
inn. I just like to visit and work there every now and then.
Oh, okay. I mean, being that Pace gave you some ingredients, you obviously have to do more than just hang out at the inn and make mushroom hats.
I do plenty of everything, honestly.
I mean, if you do any sort of like mixing things from around here, I'm interested in like natural healing and things like that.
And she stops and she kind of like shuffles her way back around and looks up at you. She's like, "Ooh, interested in alchemy, are we?"
Something like that, yeah.
When we get to the inn, I'll give you a book. Don't you worry. Come on. And she kind of shuffles her way back and keeps on shuffling down the road.
May I carry your bag for you?
Oh, no. I'm fine, darling. Thank you. Not as old as I look. Only 435.
And I'm just gonna kind of like look around at the other three to see if they're as shocked by that as me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even old for a Loxodon, so yeah, I'm also shocked.
Oldest
For about
Warforged I knew was about
15 minutes of you
30.
guys following this wonderful lady. You make your way into the town. And perspective-wise, you're pretty much in very close proximity to the middle of the town where the tree is. The building that, if you want to look at that map that I showed you earlier, the one that's directly, like the first building in the town that is not, like, I'm trying to think about it, like where the farms are, the first building inside of that, like, that area that has like the two roofs that shoot out to the side of it, that's the building that the inn is.
Okay.
And on the inn, there's this big sign that says the imaginary elderberry, and it's just got this big like it looks like bubble, like it looks like almost like a group of grapes kind of like hanging there. And she kind of pushes the door open and shuffles her way in. And she's like, come.
See, guys, they have more than one elder here.
Elder?
Yeah,
Told you,
elderberry.
I'm not as old as I look.
I didn't mean you.
Oh, well. And as she gets in, you see that as soon as immediately as she walks in, there's a step stool, and she steps up on the step stool and throws her bag up onto the bar, and just kind of like walks through. And she walks in, kind of gathers a few things, and jumps up onto the bar and sets down. There's this big book that she sets down. She throws it up on the bar, and she's like, "Okay, so there's 4 of you. How many rooms will you be needing?"
4, if that's possible.
Oh, so we can just grow them if we need them. It's no problem.
Did you
Excuse
say
me?
grow?
And she looks up, like as she's writing, she looks up and she's like, "Yes, grow." And she looks back down and keeps writing.
Bro, what?
And she looks up as soon as she looks up at Eli and she's like, "Name, please."
And I'll like kind of stutter for a minute because I'm still very like taken aback.
First name's fine. We don't need all of the kerfuffle, just the first name.
Just kind of look over at Flo, and I'm just like, am I hearing what I'm hearing?
He's just mouth agape and like.
Lia, ma'am. Lia.
With an I, not a Y? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
She looks over at Elladan. So, and you, what's name, please?
Elladan.
Uh, 2 L's? One L. No, two.
Two.
Okay. And she looks over at Flo. And you?
Flow.
Like the water, right? Yes?
Very much so.
Okay. And then she looks up at Orlo. And you, sir?
Orlo.
With A-R-L-O? Arlo?
O-R-O.
Oh.
O-R.
And she scratch. You see her like keep scratching it out as she's writing it. Right. Okay. Right. Got it. All right. We're fine. Okay. She you see her finishing writing up, and she slams the book shut. Alrighty then. And you see she slides these keys up onto the desk, and they're actually wooden like keys. They're kind of almost like roots that are kind of like twined around each other, like very intricately almost. And she's like, "These will be your keys. Breakfast. Breakfast we usually do around 9. Lunch. Lunch depends. It varies on the day. It depends on the hunter. It's not a big deal. Usually in the afternoon, and then dinner late in the evening about 8 is when we do that. So any of those times, feel free. Come on down. We'll get you some food. Relax.
Food sounds great. How long until the next meal?
And she kind of stops for a second and looks. And she looks up, and there's this like kind of like an arch right in the ceiling, and where there's like a beam of light that kind of shines through. And she's like, should be about now. Just give it a few minutes. We'll get your things settled. Go ahead, check out your rooms, get everything set down, put down, relax, get your stuff clothed, do whatever you need to do. Come back down. We should have dinner ready for you then.
And the compensation for our rooms?
Well, for right now, don't worry about the first night. We'll talk about that tomorrow, because if you brought this from Pace, that means that you're a good person. You'd get everything taken care of. You brought this for me. I'll take care of the first night. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
How long are you going to be staying with us, mind you? I should have asked you that before. I apologize. And she kind of snaps back open the book. This big thud as it hits the desk again.
We aren't quite sure.
Oh. What, She kind of leans in a little bit closer. What are you all doing down here?
We were charged with understanding what exactly happened to this world. Magically, of course.
Well, of course. She kind of just like waves her hand a little bit. It's like, Well, that's quite interesting. You know, if you go over to the big tree over there, there's some people inside of it that I guarantee will love to tell you all of the crazy things that you could possibly think of. So don't listen to any of that.
Hey, excuse us. What? So you don't want us listening to the Elder Druids?
Elder Druids.
And when she says that, I'll kind of just raise my eyebrows at Orlo.
So, who is it that we should talk to?
Well, me, of course.
I mean, she does know Pace.
Do you have any maybe like history books or anything like that that we might be able to look at that might help us?
Pulls her bag like over from the side, and she kind of flips the thing open, and she starts reaching into it, and she pulls out a book and sticks it back in. She does this a few times. She goes, And she flips through a few pages. This should just be a good start. And she sets it down on the desk in front of you and kind of like slides it over to you.
Do you mind if I borrow this?
Oh no, not at all. I know where you stay.
And Lyle will just smile. I'll smile at her and thank you, ma'am, and just kind of like pick it up and hold it in my arms like a little schoolgirl.
Do you happen to have any maps of the area in that bag of yours?
No, but I do know. Hang on, you see her jump off the stool behind the bar, and she kind of shuffles her way away for a few minutes. She comes back, and the one that I had sent you guys earlier is basically what she's going to throw up on the bar here. She kind of like unravels it, and she blows off and brushes off some of the dust. She's like, "It's a little old, but it'll do."
Fantastic, thank you. I just kind of pick it up and start looking it over.
Ma'am, you seem beyond wise for all the information that you provided to us, but I must
Me
ask.
for being as old as I am.
I merely count that as experience.
Hell, that's my hips, honey.
You don't seem to be as alarmed by me as most others have been.
Should I be alarmed by you?
And that kind of takes him aback because he's kind of used to it. I'm just used to the reaction is all. It's nice.
Listen, I've seen all kinds of things in this world. You're the least of my concern, darling.
And there is a bit of a smile from him.
And I kind of just take note, like, kind of like glance up from the map and look over at them because as I'm thinking, like, if she's dealt with things and she's not surprised by myself or Flo or anybody else, like, what kind of stuff are we going to be dealing with outside of the walls of the city or whatever?
And she leans over towards Elladan. And you, darling, what can I get for you?
Just some mead.
Oh, that I can do. And she spins around and jumps off the thing real quick. And she brings this big tankard and slides it across the bar. And she's like, "You'll never have anything like that anywhere you go. I promise you that."
All right then. I take a swig.
So it's almost sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty powerful stuff.
All right. So I'm a bit taken aback, like, whoa, that's strong type face. And I go, with the whole destruction of the area thing, you know about that, the magic.
Is here for most of it?
Oh, so what happened?
Oh, well, one day we were all sitting around doing our normal things, and then all of a sudden, and she kind of just like throws her arms up in the air and makes that noise, and she's like, just stand there for a few minutes, just like that.
How long ago was that?
And her arms kind of drop down to her side, and she goes, "Well, it's been a long time, darling."
All right. Was that the explosion that we've heard about?
Yes.
Do you know what caused it?
Presumptively magic. They've never been too specific about it, though. I don't think anybody really ever asked. But there has to have been something, right? I mean, just between us. And she kind of like leans up over the bar a little bit. Things like this don't just happen, right? Somebody knew. Somebody knew.
When you say they didn't explain too much, who are you referring to?
Oh, well, all those big, dumb wizards with their big hats. They think they know everything.
Wizards with hats?
Yes, big hats.
Forgive us. We're new here, and we've only really been here and Drail between the two. We haven't quite seen anybody with big wizard hats.
So, well, okay. Most people don't because it's awful. But Brakarcord, way over there, is where all the big dumb wizards live. And they've got their big hats and their big books, and they think they know everything, and they don't know a damn thing.
We were warned about Brakarcord.
Hopefully not to go there.
It seems to be the consensus.
It's not a very nice place.
If we wanted to understand this occurrence, where would you suggest we start?
Well, I know of somebody that might be a little bit better at explaining that. If you give me a day or two, I will arrange a meeting. He's a little bit hard to get a hold of. But if I can do that, he'll take you to one of the spots that the wizards were very intrigued about.
That would be lovely.
Now, I will say, since you are new here, you look like you can handle yourselves, but it's very dangerous out there, dears. It's very dangerous.
What would you recommend we do to prepare ourselves?
Well, get a good night's sleep. Read this book that I gave you. See if you can figure anything out. That map should help a little bit. But listen, if you really want to be safe out there, just try to stay off the lakes, okay? There's streams and there's lakes, and that's where all of the things like to congregate.
I think we can do that.
And he looks over at Flo, or she looks over at Flo and goes, he doesn't look like much of a swimmer, so that should be fine.
No, he's definitely more of a walker.
Affirmative.
Anyway, why don't you all go settle, get your things put away, relax a little bit, and then come get some food for dinner. I'll make sure everything's taken care of, you have a nice little table. It'll be nice.
Sounds excellent. Where exactly do we go?
Oh, right. Sorry. And she just kind of points over towards there's a door off on the far side of the room. And she goes, just straight through there. No problem.
And just any room, or
The one that the key goes in.
are these keys labeled? Because aren't they just wooden root keys?
And she kind of like pauses for a moment. I've never thought of that before. She's
And
like,
how long have you been working here?
214 years.
And so where do we go?
She's like, I'll take you. She jumps down off her stool and walks around the bar and just shuffles her way through. And as she shuffles down, so she opens this door up, and it actually opens up into like, it's almost like a backyard, right? And there's all these big mushrooms that are kind of out back, and they're all like they're big, they're very big, and they're room sized. She shuffles down out through this kind of garden of these mushrooms, and she kind of takes the key from each of you, and as she kind of gets to the room, she opens the door and pushes the door open for you, and she says, go ahead, as you kind of all get settled. And she's like, okay, just whenever you're ready, come, I'll make sure everything's set up for you. And she kind of shuffles her way back.
Hey.
And as she walks away, you can just hear, label, why would I have never labeled? How did I never think of that? And she's just kind of mumbling to herself.
So as I'm getting settled in my room, I'll like put all my stuff down and set it up all nice and neat, and then I'll like sit down on the bed and pull out my note from Luke.
And that is where we will end everything for the evening.
Like I was gonna tell you guys what it said anyway.